What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I just want to let you guys know that I want to start changing the direction of this channel a little bit. Um, I'm no longer going to talk politics on YouTube. I made up my mind about that. I had been making some exceptions. I'm not doing it anymore. So all of my political content will be going on the Patreon. And just to let you guys know that this channel is going to be more sports, entertainment, and trivia. That's where my focus is going to be. I'm going to try to make the content on this channel a lot more positive. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm Mr. Rogers, but I'm just saying I'm trying to change the direction of this channel. So I just want you guys to know that. In this particular video, man, I want to talk about Eddie Murphy for a second. Now, Eddie Murphy, of course, has this new movie coming out called You People. It's going to be premiering on Netflix later on this month. And then, of course, The Biggie, that's going to debut also on Netflix, I think, later this year. It's going to be the fourth installment of Beverly Hills Cop. Now, of course, the first Beverly Hills Cop came out, I believe, was 1984, when Eddie Murphy was, 23, maybe 22 when it was filming. The second one came out in 1987, and that was also a great movie. That's when Eddie was around 25, 26. The third one came out in 1994. And while I found some enjoyable moments from the third one, it clearly was not the same movie. And one of the big knocks I had on that one was, you know, you didn't have certain people that were in the first couple of Beverly Hills Cop movies. And I always thought that in that third movie, he was acting more like Eddie Murphy and not like Axel Foley. You know, he was not really playing the character. The Wally World thing threw me off and all of that. So this is the fourth installment. Now, in the third movie, he was still a young man. He was only 32, 33 years old. So he was still a young man. But this isn't 1994. This is 2023. All right? So, look, Eddie Murphy is now 61 years old. He looks a lot younger than that, but you know, he told the director, "Hey man, don't be expecting me to do all the shit I did in the first couple of movies." You know, but this is what I want to get to. There's always been this perception that Eddie Murphy, you know, is not lived up to his expectations, and Eddie Murphy, you know, has been stereotyped, and he's done a lot of bad movies and all of that. And this is what I want to counter that with. We can't have it both ways, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to these actors. We can't have it both ways. We get on Kevin Hart because and Kevin Hart can be very funny. He can be hilarious. But I think we will all agree that over the last few years, Kevin Hart has become, for the most part, typecast. He plays the same guy. He plays these lovable losers. All right? He plays these beta male lovable loser types who get bullied or has not made the most of his life, and he excels in those roles. That's fine. It pays the bills. But he kind of has become typecast, right? The one thing about Eddie Murphy that you got to give him credit for is that he has always been willing to accept different roles and to showcase other aspects of his talent. and willing to take chances. He has always been that type of person. Look, earlier on, you could say he was the con man, the convict, even though a smart one, uh, and playing a different type of con man, one who was willing to step up and not take bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that we didn't really see from a lot of black men in those days. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Sidney Poitier, but he didn't like playing con man either frequently. But from that, the first couple movies he did, 48 Hours, Trading Places, con man, right? Then the very next movie he does, he plays a cop. He flipped it. He played a cop and didn't coon in the role either, right? Then, I think he did now this movie didn't do particularly well, but he did some army movie in '84 with Roger, with Dudley Moore. I just can't think of the name of the movie, but it was something different. Then Golden Child, that was a different role. You could just look at it and tell that whoever wrote that movie more than likely didn't have Eddie Murphy's first impression of him doing that role, but he did it. And then he would do the occasional sequel. Then he did Coming to America, which was a huge hit, made over $300 million. As a matter of fact, I remember years later when people were referring to Waiting to Exhale as the first, as the most successful all-black cast in movie history at that time. They had made over $100 million. And I said to myself, wait a minute. How the fuck is that the most successful all-black movie? And Coming to America came out and made $300 million. But people didn't think of that movie like that. But people was waiting to find something that he did that failed. His haters were waiting on something. And the first thing that they took pleasure in that didn't do as well as they said it should have done was Harlem Nights, right? They said Harlem Nights was a failure. Harlem Nights was a failure. Well, look, Harlem Nights had a $30 million budget. And while it did not make $100 million, I think it made like $93, $94 million. To me, that's still three and a half times your budget, right? That's still more than 3.5 times your budget. That's still a success to a certain extent. And it's one of the funniest goddamn movies. But as I say, don't always pay attention to these critics. Now, were some of these movies bad in the 90s and 2000s? Yeah. Pluto Nash was bad. Dave was pretty fucking bad, right? But some of these movies that he did were not fucking bad. People just were afraid to admit that they liked a lot of Eddie Murphy's movies. Look, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Norbit is one of the funniest goddamn movies I've ever seen in my damn life. But you know what? It took me 2 years to watch Norbit because I kept believing what everybody else told me. Oh, that movie's not funny. That movie's not funny. Daddy Daycare. That movie was funny to me. I don't care what you say. Metro was not a bad movie. I thought Eddie Murphy acted his ass off in Metro. As a matter of fact, Metro was one of the few Michael Rappaport movies outside of Higher Learning that I can tolerate. And Eddie Murphy has always elevated whatever damn movie he's done. Even the worst movies, he's elevated them. And I think he's never gotten the credit that he deserved as a dramatic actor. Whether it's Mr. Church, whether it's, what's the movie that he did? Damn. What's the name of the movie? what's the movie that he did, man, that he should have won an award for? Dreamgirls. Whether it's Dreamgirls, whatever. And I did a video years ago, man. I think I did it 9 years ago. I did a video debunking that his movies from the 90s and 2000s were bombs. They didn't do well. His movies did significantly better in the box office from 1994 to 2014. And I guess you can extend it to today. Those movies that he's done since then, those last 30 years, have been significantly more successful than the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies from that period and the Sylvester Stallone movies. The only reason why Sylvester Stallone is even relevant today is because of the fact that Michael B. Jordan took over that Creed role, which is nothing but an extension of the Rocky franchise. Hell, Arnold Schwarzenegger had to retire the Terminator character because those movies became hot garbage. But at least Eddie Murphy is still able to continue on and still do other shit. Now, the one thing I wish that he would do, is do one more goddamn stand-up special. I know that he has high expectations for himself. I know that he knows that we expect nothing but Eddie Murphy perfection, or at least close to it. So he's always been sort of intimidated to do another stand special. But at the end of the day, I know he can do it. Hell, the only times that I have watched Saturday Night Live in the past 6 years have been when either he was hosting or Dave Chappelle. That's it. And each time was a goddamn home run. So anyway, that's all I got to say about it, man. Tell me what you guys think.